Good evening. Welcome to the Finance Committee meeting. Today is March 10th, 2021. On our agenda tonight, we have the Police Department budget, the DDIS budgets, and some transfers. So I see Lieutenant Harrigan is here from the Police Department. Hi, Lieutenant. Do you want to tell us about your budget this evening? Any highlights for us?
Sure, thanks, Ann. Good evening. Through the chair, due to the financial uncertainty created by the global pandemic, the department's fiscal year 2022 budget before you tonight for consideration is a level services budget and is the agreed upon recommended budget of both the Chief of Police and Town Administration. All positions, both sworn and civilian, are maintained, including 2 vacant but funded positions in patrol. These positions are funded at step 1, which is the lowest step on the police officer's pay scale, and they are not Quinn eligible. The vacancies are the result of a retirement last year and subsequent promotion, and we also had one candidate that resigned from the police academy. I know for those of you who were here last year, it was anticipated that we were going to have 4 patrol officers come out of the police academy. We only realized 2 of the 4, so we do still have those 2 positions open. When those vacancies occurred, it was agreed because of the financial position of the town was uncertain that they would not be filled. That's why we hadn't made any movement really to fill those positions. However, we recently realized that we are going to have a patrol officer retire before August 1st of this year. So it is our intention to hire for that position and hopefully get them into the Boylston Academy scheduled for April 26th. The reason for that is because we're going to be down 3 bodies at that position. We do have anticipated retirements within the next 3 to 5 years that is going to be 5 members of the command staff are eligible for and will likely retire within that 3 to 5 year period, as well as 4 patrol officers. So we feel if we don't start filling positions now, getting people into the academy, we're going to be in an operational position where we really don't want to find ourselves. So we would like to fill this position, and then any positions that come through attrition that we also move those positions as soon as possible. Just for background, even if we get the person in the academy for the April 26th start date, they won't be realized on the schedule as counting towards the shift until January of 2022. So it's about 1.5 years to train somebody. So we feel like it's incumbent upon us now to start planning for these vacancies that are likely to occur. Other than that, the only other changes you'd see footnoted on page 2 that pertain to the technology line item. We just moved some money from the line items identified in the footnote to better track where we're spending our dollars on technology. This is not to purchase any new technology going forward. This is just to maintain the current equipment and maintenance agreements that we have. So that's a highlight of the budget for 2022. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to hopefully answer those.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Gentlemen, any questions for Lieutenant tonight?
Madam Chair, can I add one comment before it goes to the members of the Finance Committee?
Sure.
Lieutenant, great summary of your budget. I just want to let the Finance Committee members know that although it appears it's a 5.5% increase, the budget did not reflect the contractual obligations on some of the negotiations that were finalized after the budget was submitted last year. So certainly the 5.5% is not indicative of what the contractual increases are. As the Lieutenant indicated, it's a level services budget. For all practical purposes, this budget just addresses the contractual obligations that were negotiated last year. So I just wanted to get that out there in advance.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kavanaugh. That's a good point. Thank you. Lieutenant?
Yes.
Did you want?
No, I was
Okay.
just thanking Ed for that, because I'm sure it does look like if you just see what was allocated for current year, that this is a significant increase in that, but we didn't capture all the contractual obligations in prior year, so they're all identified here and included in this budget.
Okay, that makes sense. Good. Okay, members, any questions? Michael?
Is there any funds in the budget or in the CIP for purchase of equipment from DoD or the military?
Not current. No, there's nothing identified in the current budget of the CIP for military surplus equipment.
Okay. And my only other question would be, do we have any budgeted funds for training on de-escalation techniques or, implicit bias or anything like that? Or is that all done by the state in the police academy?
Well, we have completed that training. Implicit bias was offered by this state as part of our in-service training this year. I would just like to offer that since I've been here, our training, both use of force and firearms, has always included de-escalation techniques. So that's not anything new to us or how we train here. We did request for and subsequently receive some grant funding to go through a Milo course, which is a simulation course with shoot, don't shoot scenarios, escalation, de-escalation techniques, all of that. So that's in process. We would just, those funds were just identified and granted, I believe it was December of last year. So we're coordinating that, trying to get instructors through the Milo program up at the Boylston Academy, but we will be doing that. But we've always, this has been part of our training since day one, I think since I got here back in the early 90s, that included the de-escalation tactics and techniques related to use of force training and firearms training.
Great, thank you. One last question. Do we have any budget for like PPE to ensure that officers are, masked up when they have to interact with the public?
We do have money that we've been using from our equipment line items and department supplies and equipment that have been able to sustain us through this. Additionally, we've been receiving donations from both BJ's and Amazon. Recently dropped off, it looked like a truckload of PPE stuff for us. So we have had some things reimbursed through the CARES Act for equipment. So we're stockpiled. We're in good shape as it stands right now. So I don't see that being an issue going forward.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Good, thank you.
I just had one question.
Sure.
It kind of going off of what Michael just asked, is there a rough percentage of what percentage of the force got the COVID vaccine, just to kind of mitigate any potential liability issues?
I don't have that actual number. Maybe the Board of Health does, but I'm not aware of the percentage of personnel that were vaccinated.
I don't know, Ed, do you know, does the town have any requirements on vaccinating the town employees, particularly the first responders?
Through the chair to Ed, I know that the town vaccinated its public safety employees. They have been given both shots, and I know our health director can identify those dates. In terms of how many or what percentage of the workforce relative to public safety got the vaccine, I couldn't tell you, although I know it was a pretty active 2 days that not only did we vaccinate we were in a regional type vaccination with other communities. So I don't know offhand how many or what percentage of our workforce was vaccinated.
Okay. Thank you.
But Thanks, Ed. Okay, Kevin, did you have any questions?
Just a quick one. Eileen, nice job with the presentation. Lieutenant, rather, I apologize. The,
Don't worry.
no, I love that you're looking forward, relative to open positions in the future for retirements and with so many folks in the profession looking towards the exit, unfortunately, in this current environment. Looking ahead is great. Do you anticipate that you may be looking to put somebody in whatever the next upcoming academies, April, and you have a candidate already selected? I mean, that's just around the corner for that April Boylston Academy.
Right. We're really scrambling to get it done. Unfortunately, civil service does dictate the timeline for this, so it's going to be a tight window to get it done. The list is out there. Cards went out. They have up until the 16th of March to sign on that, and then we're prepared for the persons on the list to get the backgrounds done, get the physicals done, and get them into that academy. It's going to be tight, but the only other academy really scheduled right now is in Reading, and they only had 3 seats available as of last week. So outside of that, my understanding is there's not going to be another academy offered in Boylston until at least January of next year. So we're keeping our fingers crossed that we're going to be able to pull this off and get somebody in there. There is a person currently on the list that has been academy trained, so that person would be like a lateral, but I don't know if we're going to reach that person. If you don't know, we're obligated to hire from the highest of the first 3 that accept appointments. So I really don't have a better answer for you other than that.
Okay, thank you. And just, Ed, to clarify on yours, just to confirm, all public safety personnel were offered the opportunity for a shot. Whether they selected to or not was their decision. I think takes away from any concerns about the town's liability. Ed, maybe you could just touch on that, but they all had the opportunity to partake in a vaccine.
Through the chair to Mr. Kennedy, that is correct. They were all given the opportunity to get vaccinated.
Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Lieutenant, I just had a question. I'm looking gentlemen, please, I hope you're looking at the CIP for the police department also. I had a question about vehicles, Lieutenant. How many vehicles what's our turnover rate in vehicles? How many do we have now and how many are we replacing?
This is in keeping with the 3-year vehicle replacement schedule. I will say that because of COVID, we haven't been able to turn these vehicles around as quickly because parts the lighting and whatnot is not readily available. So that's created a delay. For example, cruises that we identified last year are just now coming online. That's how backed up we are. And we're also looking at the hybrid vehicle now I know Auburn's a green community, so we're looking at purchasing those. We're in the queue to have a test drive or one of those hybrid vehicles available to us for a few days, because I guess they are a little bit different than what we're accustomed to driving. So, but I think there is a little bit of an increase in the sticker price for it, but I think that the town will realize in gas savings moving forward. So we're going to try and get the 3 in if we can this year, but that's in keeping with the program, the vehicle replacement program we designed like several years ago.
Okay. Thank you, Lieutenant.
You're welcome.
And gentlemen, do you have any questions about the CIP for the police department? No questions? All right. So let me, I haven't read this yet. Let me just read this. I beg your pardon. We're looking at a total police budget, department request and town manager recommendation is $5,015,022. That's a 5.5% increase to last year's budget, but as Ed stated in the beginning, that last year's number didn't include the raises because they were given after the budget was set. Do I hear a motion to recommend?
Motion to recommend.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, let me call the roll. Okay, Kevin,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
and Trevor. Trevor's not here, and myself, yes. Okay, great. Thank you, Lieutenant. Thanks for stopping in tonight.
Thank you and have a good night, everyone. Nice
Too.
seeing you.
Thank you.
Be well.
Thank you.
All right. All right, so our next budget is DDIS. So let me just get to that. And I see Darlene is here. Hi, Darlene Coyle.
Hi, good evening.
Here we go. So the first budget we're looking at here, and under Development and Inspectional Services Department. First is the Public Health Division. Department request and town manager request are a little different. Town manager recommendation is $273,257, which is a 3.5% increase to fiscal 21 appropriation. Okay. Members, do you have any questions about the Public Health Division budget?
Madam Chair,
Can we just hear from Ms. Coyle first with the highlights of what the budget is, and then they'll probably give us some questions based on that.
All right. And Mr. Kazanovich, were you going to say that?
I just wanted to highlight the discrepancy between the request and the recommendation. If you look at the DDIS Director of Health, the department head, there's a $3,853 difference. Part of what Mrs. Coyle does is support and oversee solid waste. So a portion of that salary is being charged to solid waste. And while we're talking about solid waste, we're going to ask tonight that we hold that for a number of reasons. One, Darlene and I are currently working on the indirect portion of solid waste in determining the fee structure for the users of the program. Certainly, we've identified last year as well as this year that the general fund is subsidizing part of that operation. We want to recoup that through a revised fee, and we want to make sure that those numbers are solid. They're before the Finance Committee for your consideration, and it'll be part and parcel to not only the true expense of disposal, collection, recycling, and admin, but it folds in those indirect costs as well.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Casanova. Okay, Darlene, why don't you give us just an overview of your budget, and then we'll look at the individual departments.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everybody. I appreciate the opportunity to give you some highlights. So for the past year, obviously with the pandemic, it has kind of changed our pretty much everybody's duties, but a highlight of the Board of Health. So we had to kind of work out being able to handle the responsibilities of the pandemic and making sure that we can keep the department running. For the budget for 2022, I'm happy to say that after a year, we've had a vacancy in one of our clerk's positions. We were able to fill that recently, and we are thrilled to have that clerk position filled. Caused things to just get a little easier with having somebody being able to help out the front. We also have a change in the economic development budget. There is an increase there because the economic development coordinator and energy management duties have both come up to DDIS. So there was a vacancy in the energy manager, and economic development is able to coordinate those duties along with the building department. In the past year, the building department has seen a large increase in activity with almost 75 permits, 75 additional permits from the previous year, and we're up over $250,000 in revenue for the past year. So we are happy to tell you about that. And in animal control, we have had a recent shed donation from Home Depot. You may notice it when you're driving by DPW. That just went up within the past week. And that was a donation, didn't cost the town anything. So we're thrilled about that. That's brand new. Other than just some of those highlights, we have pretty much level funded the operational line items. There are some adjustments in salaries. As you know, over the past couple of years, we're trying to bring some of those salaries into where they are more in line with other towns. And each year we try to focus on a different group. So that is some of the adjustments that you'll see there, and I'm happy to take any questions that you may have about the budget. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Darlene. All right, gentlemen, any questions?
Looks pretty straightforward.
Okay. Good. Well, I had a question to something you just said, Darlene. You mentioned revenue in the building department is up. Can you repeat those numbers, please?
We actually have Caleb Moody, the building commissioner, here as well. For the building, we are up $258,000 in revenue over the previous year, and approximately 70 plus permits. And Caleb, I think, can probably jump in. He knows how much work is being done in that department.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Darlene. Through the chair, yeah. Unfortunately, or fortunately, through the pandemic, the numbers just skyrocketed, whether it was people being at home more and just wanting to update their home. Even on the commercial side, we've seen a large increase. So we've been very busy throughout the year, fortunately. Happy to answer any.
Okay. How many permits did you take? You say we're 75 over last year. What was last year's? Approximately.
I think last year we were just over 800, and this year we were approaching 900 permits. And that's just on the buildings. That doesn't include the plumbing or electrical permits. So we've been very busy.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, let me look through the budget. Let me just read the individual line items, and then we're going to vote on the total. The town manager recommendation for the public health division is $273,257, 3.5% increase to last year. In the planning division, the town manager recommendation is $87,847. That's a plus 3.21% to last year. In the economic development division, the town manager recommendation is $59,523, and that's an increase of 2.35% to last year. In the building and code enforcement division, town manager recommendation is $192,459. That's a 1.47% increase to last year. Conservation Commission, town manager recommendation, $15,064. That's a 3.48% increase. And animal control, town manager recommendation is $70,403. That's a 2.7% increase. So what we're going to vote on is the town manager recommendation for the whole division. That is $698,553. That's an increase of 2.7% to last year. Do I hear a motion to recommend?
Motion to recommend.
Second?
Thank you. So let me do all in favor. Kevin,
Yes.
Ed,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
and myself, yes. Thank you. Thank you, Darlene. Do you have any items in the capital?
Yes, thank you so much for support of the budget. And if I may, we do also have zoning board of appeals budget.
Right, yep.
BIS, it's under a different, I think, org number. So it's not in this specific one, but that also is ours.
Okay, I'll get that out. And it doesn't look like you have anything in the CIP.
I believe that we are clear on CIP.
Okay.
And I wanted to give you an update. Originally, when we had met with Julie and Ed regarding our CIP items this year, we have a plotter that is kind of on its last leg. It's 10 plus years old. And we were able to get a grant with IT to be able to replace that. So we're pretty excited about being able to get a new piece of equipment through a grant. And additionally, we have our trailer that we use for emergency preparedness. That is an awesome trailer. It's just kind of busting at the seams. Because we have so much equipment, we were able to get a trailer with a grant this year as well. So we're very excited about it, that we didn't have to go through CIP for that. So just wanted to give you some good news on that. And if I may, am I able to just maybe answer Ed's question regarding first responders for vaccinations?
Yep.
So we had, the Board of Health had applied to the state to be able to vaccinate our first responders. And we were fortunate to do a regional program for that in early January when the state allowed us to do that. We did approximately about 140 vaccinations for first responders. And that was through regional, several towns. I think we had maybe about a dozen towns. For Auburn, we did between police and fire, we did approximately about 60 first responders. So I don't know the exact percentage for police and fire, but we are pretty happy that we had that many people come through. So about 60 or so of our staff, and I think everybody, I can't say enough about the support that we've gotten from police and fire for this. So just wanted to answer the question and thank them for it.
Great, thank you. I can do some quick math on my side, but thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Darlene. Okay, so we're looking at the zoning board of appeals budget. The department request and the town manager recommendation are the same, $14,184, and that's a 5% increase to fiscal 2021. Is there anything you want to tell us about this, Darlene? It looks pretty straightforward.
Yes, thank you. So the Board of Appeals budget, the only really, we've kept it level funded, as you've seen kind of in years past. The clerk that handles our conservation, our zoning Board of Appeals, and our planning, she supports all three of those boards. And so we take that salary and then we divide it three ways. So you'll see pretty much the same amount, that $13,684. You'll see that kind of the same in ZBA, planning, and conservation. So we've done it that way for years, and it seems to be, I think, equitable.
Okay, thank you. Do I hear a motion to recommend the ZBA budget of $14,184?
A motion to recommend.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Kevin?
Yes.
And Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Thank you. So Darlene, we've got some transfers also
Yes, ma'am.
from your department. Now, they're all increases, 1% increases for the bylaw employees. Mr. Kazanovich, don't we usually do these increases in January? Thank you.
So, Madam Chair, I think when we brought the batch of transfers before you several months ago, we indicated there were a few departments that were not part of that package, and we would bring them forward at a later date. So these are some of the transfers that were not prepared at the time. Well, before we get into the transfers, I just want to take this opportunity to thank Darlene and Caleb, who have done a fantastic job during this pandemic. And quite honestly, the entire department pulled together. There's got to be extreme COVID fatigue. They've been working late hours. Everyone's pulling together. And so I just want a special thanks to the entire crew on behalf of Julie and I, because I can't tell you how many late nights, how many weekends they spent vaccinating. They pulled in other staff within the department who have no function in public health, but offered their help in assisting to get this vaccination throughout the community. So I want to applaud both Darlene and Caleb. They are present tonight, and much thanks, and everyone appreciates all your work and effort into this cause. So
Thank you, Ed. Thank you very much. That's nice to hear. Okay, Ed, I have a question for you. These transfers are all going to different accounts. We have to take them separately. Is that correct?
that is correct.
Okay. All right. So I'm looking at the first transfer from DDIS Health Department, clerical. Amount requested $954 going to director salary, and this is to provide funds for 1% increase for bylaw employee. Do I hear a recommendation? Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes, sorry.
Yes, that's okay. And myself, yes, okay. The next transfer,
One point. I think because they're all coming out of the same clerical account, I believe they are. Darlene, I think
Yep.
you can take them as a batch.
okay. Yes, and they're all coming from the same clerical account. So I'm just going to read them all, and then we'll make a motion to approve them. All right, so the next transfer, also coming from that clerical line item, amount requested $501, and that's going to the inspector line in DDIS Health. Again, to provide funds for 1% increase for bylaw employee. The next coming from the clerical account, $615 going to the assistant health director. Again, the 1% increase in bylaws. And from the clerical line to the other clerical line, $1,023 to provide funds for the GEU contract requirement for clerical employees. Okay? Why don't we just do them by department? Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve those 3 transfers coming from the clerical account to the inspector, the assistant health director, and the other clerical account.
Thank you, good. And I heard a second, so let's do a roll call. Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
And myself. All right, so the next department is DDIS Building and Code. Amount coming from the clerical account, $833 going to the building commissioner salary to provide funds for 1% increase for bylaw employees. Second, coming from the same clerical account, going to the $610 going to the building inspector salary, and that's for the 1% increase for bylaw employees. Do I hear a motion to approve?
A motion to approve both those items, the 833 and the 610 amounts.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
And myself, yes. All right, the next four are all coming from the clerical account. The first amount requested is $846 going to the planning salary line in the planning department. That's to provide funds for the 1% increase for bylaw employees. The next is transfer coming from that same clerical account. Amount requested $552 going to the economic development salary line, and it's to provide 1% increase for bylaw employees. Third transfer coming from the clerical account, amount requested $572 going to the animal control officer, animal inspector salary to provide funds for the 1% increase for bylaw employees. And fourth, coming from the same clerical account, $416 going to the solid waste and recreation coordinator salary and to provide funds for the 1% increase for bylaw employees. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve those 4 items from the clerical account to provide for those 1% increases.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Thank you. So those are all approved. Thank you, Darlene. And thank you, Caleb, for participating in the meeting tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your support, and thank you Ed, for your kind words.
All right.
Congratulate Darlene for getting Caleb to speak during the meeting.
Have a good day.
All right, we don't have any minutes to approve, but I just want to, so we're almost ready to adjourn. I just read for you who's coming in next week. On the 17th, we have the school department coming and Bay Pass coming, and we're going to look at do we have Bay Pass coming, Mr. Kazanovich? Or are we just going to consider
No, they're going to participate. I'm sure it's going to be remote, but yes. Both
okay.
superintendent and the business manager have indicated that they will be present for that meeting.
Okay, and I see we're looking at the Norfolk Aggie line, agricultural school line. Is anyone from that school participating?
No.
Nothing. No, okay, that's fine. All right, so those are the budgets next week. The week after that, Fire Rescue Department and DPW. And then on the 31st, Library and Auburn Youth Commission and the Veterans Department. All right, so just make sure.
That's when we'll bring in solid waste as well at that last meeting.
Okay, gotcha. All right, any questions? Yes, no? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, so moved. All in favor? Kevin?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Thank you. See you next week. Bye.
Night, everyone.
Bye.
Good night.